Alf, we've got a little bit of time on our hands. It's a bye week for my New Orleans Saints here on a Sunday, and we're going to talk a little bit about the YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame coming up in January, I believe.
Yeah.
We're a couple of months out from this thing, and I decided that maybe we throw a little spice into this thing this year.
You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game.
So I'm going to explain what I had in mind. This week I learned about a couple of phrases that I'd never heard before: offensive and defensive shill bidding. Now I'm going to use this as kind of an analogy as to what we're going to talk about here with this YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame vote here in a few minutes. For those that don't know, and apologies, there's going to be some viewers that are like, what the heck is this type? Like, what is this video? Part of the reason why I'm putting it out on a Sunday, because there's just not a lot of viewers on Sunday. We got football going on, but I do want to get it out there to the community. This video is more centered around the card content folks that do watch the channel or that could share with other card content folks. So the way this thing works, the YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame, it started maybe like 7-8 years ago by Mike Moynihan, baseball collector. He's passed it on to a couple of other people. And I think there's actually new ownership of it starting this year. I think they've added like a veterans committee now. They've added some sort of committee to recognize older channels. We'll get into that later. But essentially, you have to be making sports card YouTube content for 3 years to be eligible for the Hall of Fame, Sports Card YouTube Hall of Fame. To vote, you have to be creating sports card content for at least 1 year. So a lot of people are up that can vote. It's usually approximately, about 150 channels or so that participate in this thing every year. And some fall off, there's some additions each year. So maybe it's a couple hundred. I'm not exactly sure. But if we're being honest, I think the people that participate in this program, if they're being honest as well, there are, I'm not going to call it one click, because I think it's a handful of clicks, mostly made up of vintage card collectors, or a combo of vintage and modern card collectors, but mostly vintage card collectors that make up the voting block for this. Now, while I do collect vintage cards, I'm kind of a loner. I've got a handful of my hobby friends that I keep in touch with a lot, but I haven't made tons of efforts within these different groups. I have friends within kind of each clique. Frankly, that's how it's always been for me since high school. I've always had friends in each clique, and that's kind of the same here. So I do know people that are within this, within this group for sure. And I have a lot of great acquaintances too that I keep in touch with from time to time. I see a lot of them at the National. That's awesome. But for me to be able to actually compete in this thing realistically, because it is a little bit of a popularity contest, it is kind of like, okay, which one of our buddies has not gotten in yet? And we're going to call that actually defensive voting, kind of like, the defensive shill bidding thing, a defensive vote. Each person, each content creator gets 10 votes, and only 5 channels get in every year to the YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame. So it's slim. It's a very narrow deal. 5 get in, but each one has 10 votes. Well, a defensive vote, in my mind, is a vote for one of your buddies, and you're playing a little bit of defense because you're like, God, I don't want to not vote for this person. They give me hell, or they're going to be offended. And there is a lot of that. And there's kind of this drama that goes back and forth with certain people. How come you didn't vote for me? How did this person get in? That person didn't.
I'm not quitting. I'm evolving.
All that stuff, which makes it kind of fun, frankly. How am I going to compete with all that when I'm not part of the inner circle popular kids club for this thing? Well, so we have what I just called a defensive vote, but we also have offensive votes, like offensive shill bidding. But I'm going to a little play on words. And so instead of offensive, just offensive. And so what I'm looking at here is I'm looking for essentially channel roast votes, Sports Card Dad channel roast votes. So all this means is that instead of you voting for 10 of your friends or 10 of channels that you want to see get in, but a lot of times it's like, all right, which one of our friends is not in yet? And that's kind of the focus area. That's what I've seen here over the last 5 years since I've been making content. So just take one of those votes. So you get 9 for your buddies and 1 Sports Card Dad channel roast vote. Let me also say, though, thank you to those that actually just vote because you like the channel. I very much appreciate that. Very much appreciate all of you. But for us to win, we're going to need, for us meaning like this community, the Sports Card Dad community and our allies, we're going to need to bring some from the other side. Not necessarily because they like watching the channel. We're going to need some of those hate viewers, the vintage Dans of the world. We're going to need some Sports Card Dad roast votes. We're actually going to need a lot of them. Probably 40 or 50 of them, maybe more than that, to be able to climb this thing, be able to climb this mountain. And so what's in it for you? Why would you do this? Why would you participate in a Sports Card Dad roast vote? Well, 2 roast voters, channel roast voters, are going to get up to a $500 value card. 2 people are. So it's $1,000 in total. So basically, if you've got the best Sports Card Dad channel roast, Alf is dumb, it's a dumb gimmick, your hair's stupid, the shirt sucks. 2 people, you tell me what card up to $500 you want, I will buy it for you and I will send it to you. Easy peasy. Additionally, I will make a dedicated video on my channel that is just the roast votes. And that'll be kind of fun for all the roast voters. They can watch that and like, oh, look, we've got it all in one place. You don't have to go search around to find the roast votes. You can just go right there and I'll send it out. You can watch the roast vote video and I'll keep it up here on YouTube. This, of course, is if I get in. So for the payout to occur, I need to get in, as well as the dedicated video. I got to get into this thing. So again, it's going to be a hill to climb. Every year there's new content creators that are now up for a vote. So it's only getting harder. And the other piece is that most of the people that have been voted in and that are voting, they're baseball card collectors mostly. Some of them also collect football and basketball, but it's heavy baseball card collecting. And I don't really collect much on the baseball card side. A lot of things working against me, but this is not a baseball card collecting Hall of Fame YouTube thing. This is just simply a sports card YouTube Hall of Fame. And I have a lot of sports cards and I love sports cards. So I'm excited to see where this goes. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Can we garner enough support from people that like the channel, but also support from people that don't like the channel? And I think that's important. We're reaching across the aisle and we're saying, hey, we want your vote, even if it means it's a slam. Now, here's the part where I'm going to trigger some people, but it's just the honest truth. I've heard a narrative that has gone around. I've heard this from a few different folks, not one person. I've heard it from a variety of different sources that, the newer content creators from 2020 forward should really respect the content creators that came before because they kind of set the stage for content, as we kind of move forward. And now here today, we've got just an abundance of great content, I think, in sports cards. Here we are now. But here's the problem with that. And understand that if we're comparing to a baseball Hall of Fame, because that is true. You go back in time, you've got all these legends that led up here to what we have today. They laid the pavement for all the players coming in. The franchise is gaining popularity over time. The NFL is the same exact thing. Guys getting absolutely killed out there, to get to where we are today. Now players getting paid $1 zillion. There's TV deals, there's endorsements everywhere and all that good stuff. But that's not the way that I found content. Frankly, I didn't even know that there was much of any card content on YouTube when I started. The big reason why I started making card content in March of 2020 is because I didn't really see very much of what I was trying to find. It just wasn't hitting my feed. And I think there probably was some good content creators, for sure there was. I just never found them. The YouTube algorithm never pushed them to me, or it never grabbed me, or whatever the case may be. And so I wasn't necessarily really inspired by very many channels that I could find even. There's maybe a couple of channels that I could find before I really even started making card content. And that's going to maybe trigger some people that have been doing it for a long period of time and think that there's folks like me that should be very appreciative. I think that it's awesome that you did do it in 2015 or 16 whenever you did start. But I'm pretty certain that it wasn't the reason why a lot of people started making content in 2020. A lot of the content creators from 2020 and forward are people that were getting back into the hobby, that were getting back into it, trying to find content on it, couldn't find content on it, started making content on it. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. I could be wrong. Check me in the comment section if I'm wrong here, but did Chris, baseball card collector, investor, dealer, get voted in last year? Maybe he did. But if he did not, then there's no chance for anybody like me to get in without a system like this, without a little bit of a game thrown in to entice some people to come with a negative vote, if you will. But look, if Chris isn't going to get in, then very few people are going to get in unless they are newer content creators that are tied in with these cliques that have made efforts. They also collect a lot of vintage cards, or they pretend to collect a lot of vintage cards to fit in, or whatever. Whatever the case may be, they are in with these cliques, and that's how they have garnered the votes. And great news, there's something in it for you all too. Again, 2 people will get up to a $500 card. I think that's pretty decent. That's pretty good. An incentive to participate. So if you have been a sports card content creator for a year plus, keep me in mind. You got 10 votes, just take one of them and throw it towards a How Come Sports Card Dad channel sucks. Of course, we also welcome the fans out there that do want to just say something nice and just give me just a regular old vote. Absolutely. Thank you. Every year we do get those as well, so I appreciate it. But this is going to need to be a team effort from the fans, people that like the channel, and also the haters, the hate watchers. We're going to need all of you to make this happen. Friends, have an amazing day ahead. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.